There's a calm that doesn't soothe. Not at first. It feels heavy, ancient, like the quiet that comes after something sacred has burned itself to completion. Most people mistake it for emptiness. They call it numbness, fatigue, surrender. But it's not. It's the beginning of a new kind of flame, one that no longer destroys, no longer demands, but simply is. There's a moment in every life when the storms lose their urgency, when the need to prove, to chase, to be seen, fades into something quieter, a stillness that burns from the inside out, not cold, not indifferent, but steady. Pause, the rain deepens, the young flame dances high and wild. It reaches for everything, for recognition, for meaning, for love that can mirror back the hunger of its own light. But over time, the flame learns. It learns the language of loss. It learns the silence of understanding. It learns that not every spark is meant to last. And one day, after the noise of ambition and heartbreak has passed, you find yourself sitting in front of the kind of fire that no longer asks to be seen. It doesn't rage. It breathes. It glows quietly, not as spectacle, but as presence. Pause. That's the calm that burns. The one born not of control, but of surrender. When you have faced every illusion of power, when you've watched your certainty collapse, your plans unravel, your youth dissolve into something slower, softer, you begin to realize that peace was never the absence of fire. It was what remained. After everything false had turned to ash, the crackle grows soft, rhythmic. We spend so much of our lives afraid of stillness, afraid that if we stop moving, we'll disappear, afraid that if we stop burning, we'll be forgotten. But that's the illusion. That movement is life. Stillness, true stillness, is not the end of movement. It's its perfection. It's the place where every direction has already been walked, every word already spoken, every desire already exhausted. And what's left is simply the awareness of being, the flame that doesn't need oxygen, the calm that still glows. The rain softens, almost melodic. You can feel it in old souls, in the eyes of those who have loved deeply, lost quietly, and come back without bitterness. They no longer rush. They no longer reach. They move through the world with the gravity of those who have already met themselves and bowed in acceptance, because once the storm inside you settles, you see it, the strange radiance of the ordinary, a cup of tea steaming beside a window, the hum of wind through bare trees, the way firelight flickers over an old photograph, all of it sacred, all of it alive. And you understand, finally, that peace was never gentle. It had to burn through you first, through every layer of noise and wanting, before it could reveal its quiet face. Pause. There's a reason the ancients called enlightenment a kind of fire, not the fire of destruction, but of purification, the burning away of illusion, until only the essential remains. And that essential thing, it doesn't shine like a flame. It hums like a heartbeat. It glows behind the eyes of those who have nothing left to prove. Long pause. If you listen closely, you can hear it now, beneath the rain, beneath the wood sighing in the hearth. It's not silence. It's the pulse of something eternal, the calm that burns quietly through time. There comes a moment when you begin to understand that peace was never meant to comfort you. It was meant to reveal you. The calm that burns doesn't cradle the soul. It exposes it. It strips away what was borrowed, what was loud, what was merely learned. And what remains is raw, quiet, real. Pause. The sound of the rain fills the silence. You start to see how much of your life was movement without direction, how much of your fire was noise, not warmth, how much of your love was reaching, not resting. And when all that stops, when there is nothing left to chase, nothing left to defend, you meet something strange inside yourself. Not weakness, not despair, but something slower, something older, a calm that looks back at you with the eyes of a flame that has seen too much to ever burn recklessly again. The fire sighs as if in agreement. That's when you realize the most powerful form of energy, is the one that no longer needs to prove itself. The same is true of peace. It doesn't argue. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't conquer chaos. It absorbs it. It becomes a vessel large enough to hold it all. The calm that burns does not extinguish passion. It transforms it. It turns desire into devotion. It turns grief into compassion. It turns loneliness into space. Pause. You stop fighting to be understood. You start listening to the sound of your own silence, to the way your breath fills a room, to the soft language of things that do not need words. You realize how much meaning exists in the way light falls across an empty chair, or the way a single raindrop travels down glass, like a memory returning home. You see that even stillness moves, just not in ways you can measure, and for the first time, you begin to trust it. The voice lowers, warmer. Maybe that's what growing older really is. Not losing the fire, but learning to carry it without letting it consume you. When you are young, your flame devours everything. You love like it's proof of existence. You fight like it's a prayer. You hope like it's oxygen. But then, as years pass and the heart breaks and mends and breaks again, something shifts. You start to see beauty not in what burns, but in what endures. Not in the explosion, but in the ember that refuses to go out. That's the calm that burns. A steady glow at the center of your being. It doesn't draw attention. It doesn't demand. It simply is. Pause. And once you've found it, you stop fearing endings. Because you realize the flame was never separate from the ash. The light was never apart from the dark. They are parts of the same breath. The same motion of being and unbecoming. What dies teaches what lives. What fades gives shape to what remains. That's how you learn to live without clinging. That's how you learn to love without owning. The rain becomes a steady hum again. When you sit in front of the fire long enough, you stop seeing it as warmth. You start seeing it as a mirror. Every flicker, every collapse of flame into coal is a reminder that energy never disappears. It just changes its form. And so do you. You're no longer the flame reaching upward. You're the glow at its base. Deep, unwavering, ancient. You have stopped running. You have stopped needing to shine. You have simply become what you always were, the space through which the fire breathes. A long pause, only the sound of crackling wood. That's why the calm burns. Because it's not peace that's soft. It's peace that's alive. It pulses through you quietly, like a secret heartbeat that the world forgot to name. It doesn't shout. It doesn't seek. It simply remembers. Remembers that everything, the flame, the ash, the smoke, the rain, belongs to the same silence. And in that remembering, you begin to feel something like freedom. Not the freedom of escape, but the freedom of acceptance. The freedom of sitting in your own stillness and realizing that it was never emptiness. It was home. There's a point in every journey where you stop asking for more fire, where you stop calling for warmth, and instead become it. It happens quietly. No revelación, no aplausos, just the still recognition that the thing you were searching for was never gone. It was only waiting for you to stop running. Pause. The fire sighs softly. The calm that burns has finished its work. It has taught you the rhythm of surrender, the dignity of silence, the beauty of a heart that can hold both pain and peace without collapsing under either. Now, when you breathe, you no longer chase the breath. You let it move through you like wind through an old house that has learned to creak with grace. The body ages, the mind quiets, but the soul glows steady with time, like a coal that refuses to die, not because it's clinging to heat, but because it has become heat itself. The rain fades into distance, faint, eternal. You understand, finally, why the calm burns. Because it was never meant to comfort. It was meant to refine. It doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't undo the losses. It simply changes their weight. Grief becomes tenderness. Fear becomes humility. Loneliness becomes spaciousness. Everything that once hurt now hums quietly, like a song that no longer needs to be sung aloud. Pause. You realize there is no such thing as after. The fire, the ash, the warmth, the smoke, they're all part of the same breath, the same unfolding. And you are simply the awareness, watching it all pass through. The calm that burns is what remains when you stop fighting the flow, when you stop trying to name every feeling, to capture every truth, to hold every love forever. Because now you know, nothing real can be lost. It only changes its form. The fire cracks once softly. You sit back. You watch the last ember glow. It's small, but it's alive. You smile. And for the first time, you don't wish for it to burn brighter. You're grateful that it burns at all. Because the quiet fire is the truest one. The one that doesn't destroy to prove its existence. The one that doesn't fade to seek attention. The one that simply continues. Pause. The sound of breathing fills a room. There's a peace that arrives when you stop dividing life into beginnings and endings. When you start seeing that everything is both at once. The ember becomes a flame. The flame becomes the ash. The ash becomes the soil. And the soil becomes a breath of something new. Nothing dies. It just returns, again and again, to the quiet rhythm of being. The rain becomes almost inaudible, just presence. And so you sit there, with your hands warm from the glow, your heart calm from the knowing, and your mind emptied of need. You no longer ask for peace. You have become it. You no longer seek the light. You are what the light remembers. A long pause. When the calm burns within you, it's not passion. It's awareness. It's life remembering itself through you. Every tear that ever fell, every silence that ever hurt, every love that ever left, they all shaped the stillness. And now, in the dim orange glow of the last ember, you see yourself clearly, not as a body, not as a name, but as a small infinite warmth that life keeps alive, even when everything else fades. The final crackle fades, rain takes over completely, and the rain whispers, softly, almost like a voice you've always known. You were never the fire. You were the space that held it. A deep breath, quiet, and so you close your eyes, not in ending, but in returning to that still, burning calm that has been waiting for you all along.